who's actually going to get the most out of a 36-inch, 5.2 cubic foot ZLINE autograph gas range, who can safely walk away, and does the price make sense for someone who just wants reliable daily cooking without turning their kitchen into a showroom? If you're wrestling with those questions, you're not alone. This is the kind of appliance that can feel like a major gamble. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes I'm going to walk through the moments when this range shines, the situations where it might leave you wishing for something simpler, and whether the autograph branding is really worth the premium. Let's start with the kind of kitchen you're likely to have. The ZLINE autograph is a 6-burner professional-style cooktop paired with a convection gas oven, and it's wrapped in stainless steel with champagne bronze accents. That design language screams chef's kitchen, but the practical reality is more nuanced. If you already have a dedicated prep area, a decent ventilation hood, and you spend a good chunk of the week roasting a chicken, searing steaks, or juggling multiple pans for a family dinner, the extra burner surface and the dual-function burner become real assets. I've seen home cooks who love to have a simmer zone on one side while a high-heat wok sits on another, and the 6 burners give that flexibility without forcing you to constantly shuffle pots. On the flip side, if your cooking routine is mostly single-pot pasta, a few sheet pan meals, and you rarely need to run more than 2 or 3 burners at once, the extra surface area may feel underutilized. In a smaller apartment or a kitchen where counter space is at a premium, the 36-inch footprint can be a squeeze, especially when you factor in the need for a full-size hood to handle the gas output. That's the first hidden trade-off. You get a professional-grade cooking surface, but you also need a kitchen that can accommodate its size and the accompanying ventilation requirements. Now let's talk about the burners themselves. ZLINE advertises Italian-made auto-reignition burners, and in practice that means each burner lights instantly and will reignite if the flame goes out, useful if you're stir-frying or if a draft snuffs a flame. During a test run making a batch of caramel sauce, I knocked the flame out with a sudden gust from the oven door, and the system sparked back up within a second. That little safety net feels more comforting than a standard manual rate setup, especially if you have kids around who might inadvertently bump a knob. The dual-function burner is another practical perk. It can run at a low simmer for delicate sauces and then crank up to high heat for a quick sear. The transition is smooth because the burner's design lets you dial in a broader temperature range than a typical home range burner. If you're the type who likes to start a sauce low and finish it with a burst of heat, this can cut down on the need to move pots between burners. However, the downside is that the dual-function burner is slightly larger than the others, and that extra width can make it trickier to fit smaller pans or saucepans that you'd normally nestle into a tighter spot. The convection gas oven is where the Paramount badge tries to set itself apart. Traditional gas ovens can struggle with even heat distribution, but the convection fan circulates hot air, giving you more consistent browning. I baked a tray of cookies and a sheet pan pizza back-to-back. The pizza came out with a nicely crisped crust, and the cookies were golden around the edges without any burnt spots. The key here is that you still get the quick temperature recovery that gas ovens are known for, while gaining the evenness you usually associate with electric convection. For home bakers who have been frustrated by hot spots in their older gas ovens, this is a concrete improvement. That said, the convection fan does add a moving part that can require maintenance. In the user manual, ZLINE recommends cleaning the fan and checking the seal on the oven door periodically. If you're not comfortable pulling out the back panel or don't want to schedule a professional service once a year, that could be a point of friction. The oven also uses tubular bake and broil burners, which are robust but can be a little slower to reach full temperature compared to a pure electric convection oven. In practice, you'll notice a few extra minutes on the preheat timer, which isn't a deal-breaker but something to keep in mind if you're racing against the clock for dinner. One of the subtle strengths of the Autograph Edition is the exclusive knobs and handle finish. The knobs are larger than on most ranges, with a tactile click that lets you feel the setting without looking. If you're a visually impaired home cook, or simply the type who keeps an eye on the stovetop while stirring, that feedback can be surprisingly helpful. The handle on the oven door is also weighted, so it stays open at any angle you set it, which is great when you're sliding or roasting.